Welcome to the bold analysis. Justin Muturi, after the fallout with President Ruto over the son's abduction and joining the government dissidents, has emerged again, and hours after meeting Kindiki in Karen residence, I think Muturi seemed to have decided that kaende. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to look at this in depth, but before we do that, I want to humbly request you to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our channel. Now this is the place to subscribe. Now the notification bell is what the part I've circled there. Click that bell so that when we produce a video, you'll be getting notifications all the time. And thank you very much for supporting this channel. Ladies and gentlemen, today there was a meeting in Karen residence. The meeting in Karen residence was a sectorial meeting of the cabinet, and one of the usual guests that was there is actually none other than Kindiki. I want us to look at what Kindiki shared. Cabinet Committee on Governance, Social Sector and Public Administration. This touches on Muturi's docket. Those who attended were Musalia Mudavadi, Soipan Tuya, Julius Ogamba, Eric Muga for Water and Sanitation, Justin Muturi, Public Service and Human Capital Development, Dr. Deborah Baraza, Health, Rebecca Miano, Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage, Alfred Mutua, Labor and Social Protection, William Kabogo, Information and ICT, and then Mercy Wanjau, the Secretary to the Cabinet. So, Justin Muturi attended the meeting. And if you look at this photo, you can see his mood when he arrived at the Deputy President's residence. He was actually seated next to Soipan Tuya. If you look at this point, if you look at this photo, almost everyone is looking at Kindiki. He could be talking about Kindiki. Kindiki could be talking about government speaking in one voice, and this is one of the factors that emerged. If you look at Muturi's body language, he seemed to be looking in a different direction. Of course, in such a meeting, probably is showing discomfort with the discussion going on, or is not just attached. You can feel two things: either what Kindiki is saying, he doesn't conform with what he's saying, or he's not just attached there. Sometimes I agree when some people say that Muturi needs to call it quit. He needs to leave. So this was the meeting. Now, this presence of Muturi here, I want us to make some few observations about that. Remember, he attended the cabinet committee meeting in Kindiki's residence. This is not the first time. Every Thursday, in 2 weeks, these meetings normally happen. And even, I think the other Thursday, it happened. Now, when there is a cabinet this week, the week where there is a cabinet, when there is a cabinet meeting, it doesn't happen. So, he skipped last 2 cabinet meetings. The first one that he skipped was that one in Kakamega. It was the first cabinet meeting in 2025. And then there was another meeting last week. Yes, that was last week, but one in Nairobi, in State House, that he also skipped. He was not there. In all instances, whenever he's asked, Justin Muturi always say that you need to ask Secretary to the Cabinet. Secretary to the Cabinet, Mercy Wanjau, was present in this meeting, and that is the lady you are seeing in your screen. That is Mercy Wanjau. She is the Secretary to the Cabinet. So she was present in that meeting. This means that this meeting was also having the blessing of the president, or it was also organized by the Secretary to the Cabinet Mercy Wanjau. So all this happened, and even if you look at if you look at the video, you will understand on intrigues of what happened in that meeting. So the official video has been released. I want to believe that the video, the cabinet meeting video, are normally released for a purpose. We want to show who was there, and for some reason, I want us to look at this video. After the meeting, Muturi stepped out first, and I think probably wanted to get out, and he was actually captured, engaged in some heated discussion, in some deep discussion with the Deputy President Kindiki. This is a conversation that went for some time. And you could see the way they walked all the way to the place where probably that was Kindiki's private office, where they were still engaging. And Kindiki sounded like he was telling Muturi that hiyo ni nini sasa unafanya bwana. Sasa wewe uko kwa serikali na unaongea mbaya serikali pale nje. I think that was the kind of discussion going on. And it was all designed that probably they're testing waters. One thing, they wanted, the deep state wants to know whether, if invited, he would attend. I want to think probably he was also expected in State House but never attended. There have been attempts to reach out a truce between him and Ruto, but it failed. And this was first to attempt, to try to create an attempt to see if he can attend. Number two, I think President Ruto is also planning to go to Mount Kenya. I understand that, and I think Kindiki have said that several times. I understand there was a time, the day that Kindiki was meeting the Embu delegation and Meru, Muturi was supposed to be part of that team, but he kept off. He never attended it. So, second guessing what exactly Muturi was thinking. Now, you will realize, if you want to know, this meeting was very critical. They were later joined by Soipan Tuya. Soipan Tuya is the Defense Cabinet Secretary. So the discussion went on for some time, but we understood that immediately after that, Muturi rushed out of the current residence. I would want you to look at where Muturi went next. Because where he went next, he took their violence. After the current meeting, remember the current meeting is part of, fast-tracking government projects. I captured a video of one of, I think that is Muga, talking about some project that was done last in 2016. Let's get a snippet of that.
Those committees, it's only that there's a tier, of course, not everybody.
Just not and
yes, it is. In fact, this bill will have to go to the Senate.
Yeah, he also saying it.
You may have navigated in this book. That would be my sincere recommendation. The other was that.
Is it being
25
to
25
to 25?
Yes, 25 has received
4 billion shillings. Boston Dam was conceived in the year 2016-2017.
15 and 16. Quickly. You can prosecute them together. CSI Eric.
Project, that statement. The CS was talking about a project, some projects that was just then started in 2016. So I want to understand that what is the essence of normally these sector meetings is to track some of the projects that were going on. Now, Muturi appeared in the National Assembly Committee on, I think, Labor on something in public administration, and he was supposed to highlight, he was supposed to explain the whether some civil servants are going to lose jobs because of the freezed foreign aid from the US. Remember, the amount of money coming in the country from the US reduced drastically after Trump announced that they were stopping those foreign aids for 3 months awaiting scrutiny. So he was called to clarify and explain whether there is some job losses expected. But then in the middle of that conversation, someone raised a point, and Muturi was not shy of telling the committee that President Ruto is not doing enough, and instead of launching new projects, at least we should have 1 or 2 projects that are completed. I want you to listen to this, and I'll try if you can find a video. I think Morara once spoke about incomplete affordable housing project in Wote. But listen to this.
Amekuwa mwiba ndani ya serikali anayoitumikia, kikashifu serikali ya Kenya Kwanza nako hudumu kama waziri wa utumishi wa umma kwa kuendeleza hulka utekaji nyara wa wanaoipinga serikali.
Something to say?
Alhamisi, waziri Justin Muturi akizindua mashambulizi mengine, wakati huu akilenga serikali ya Kenya Kwanza kwa kuanzisha miradi ya maendeleo licha ya nyingine kukwama.
I don't know whether there's something wrong with our psyche as a country. Because the chairman, I'm saying this because I've traveled around this country. And there's something that I know some stored projects which have been there for more than 30 years. I went to a place called Water in Makueni. You find houses whose construction started more than 30 years ago. They are still stored.
Muturi akikosoa namna ambavyo ufadhili wa ujenzi wa barabara hizo unavyofanyika, akitoa ushauri kwa serikali.
If we don't have enough to do all of them, can we finish one? Can we get enough allocation to finish one?
Welcome again to the Vampire Diaries. I am in Wote in Makueni. And last time when I was here, I showed you the Wote Stadium, enye pesa iligulwa. I showed you where they want to build the affordable housing. And now I want to show you something else, which I don't think you really got me last time. Here, we have an affordable housing project. This affordable housing project costed the government 2 billion Kenya shillings. Hapa kuna 203 houses ya affordable housing. Now the President William Ruto has a pet project he's calling the affordable housing, which is not affordable. Because, for example, we did research with you. We realized that to buy a bed sitter in Kirinyaga, it will cost you 1.7 million shillings. How many Kenyans in Kenya have 1.7 million shillings to buy a bed sitter in Kirinyaga? Now, the other thing is, the affordable housing is being built on public land, and you're being lied to that you will own a house on public land. The third thing is they are taking money from you, building you a house, then selling it to you. Mbona mtu achukue pesa yako akujengee nyumba alafu akuzie? Now, that's not my story today. My story is that we already have affordable housing. This was started in 1989. Costed the government 2 billion. Na ndio nawaambia hizi serikali zote imekuanga ni wizi bila kazi. Come and see the condition of these houses. 2 billion ya serikali ilizama hapa. Na ujue where these houses end pale juu is where they want to build affordable housing. So that you tell me whether the leaders we have in this country are actually interested in good governance. I can most assuredly tell you that they are not interested. Hii ni Wote hii. Na usifikirie serikali haijui. The PS for housing, Charles Hinga, came here. He saw these houses, pretended not to see them, went ahead to want to start the housing project there. Angalia manyumba. Look. 2 billion Kenya shillings ya serikali rotting. Manyumba ndio hii kwa bush. Na Wakenya muwe mnaniombea wakati napita kwa hizi bushes, Mungu anilinde.
Now that is what Morara is talking. That is what Muturi is talking about. He's talking about, we've spoken about these roads, and even remember, just yesterday, the president was taking an issue with those who are talking about the Isiolo Mandera stretch, the way Ruto crammed the roads, and he was talking about them. And the president yesterday was trying to confirm to the country that, saying that let the country not ridicule him for that statement on those roads because it will be complete, or that the government will construct it. Of course, that is a project that started way back, but its end date is supposed to be complete by 2029. So if President Ruto is foresee that project coming to its logical conclusion, then it will stretch to his second term, if he gets the second term. And that came out. That is a direct statement, just coming from current residents. And I hope he understood that from him attending that meeting, some propagandist will carry a story that now he has reconciled with the president. And he continues to inject. He continues to say things that President Ruto don't want to be said. I can tell you for free that these are the things that Ruto doesn't want the country to talk about. So with that approach, it is very clear that Kithure Kindiki meeting with Muturi in current residence did not bear any fruit. And I understand what he's talking about might sound like a disrespect. Those who want to look at it say he's disrespecting the president. But he seemed to have a standpoint. And from that, this is what I can see from Muturi's statement on William Ruto, especially a statement after meeting Kithure Kindiki. Muturi-Ruto ties are completely broken. And it simply can't change. There is something that people don't want to take, and I understand one thing that people have always said, and the government side said, that while Muturi is a parent who is also aggrieved, but is not so honest on the court push for seeking justice, because he sits in cabinet and he needed to have raised it in cabinet. So another narrative emerged that he's just there, gravitating his way out of Kenya Kwanza to make some political glory over William Ruto fallout. But I think the decision by Muturi to take on President Ruto on that issue of abduction, much as we are looking at the peripheral political reasons, on personal ground, I think Muturi is uncomfortable with Kenya Kwanza. And I submit that he's been locked out, he cannot deliver. It is in his interest probably to sit within and understand what's going on. But I feel that there's so many traps that can be laid on his side to create an impeachment motion against him. At this time, while still serving as a CS, a corruption scandal can be cooked around that ministry. And of course, some other fellows, the PS and other fellows will be held responsible. But a very big scandal can emerge, can be cooked to try to plot his removal. So he must tread very carefully. Even as he continues to be there, he must tread very careful. Number two, President Ruto's launching spree is one of a looming disaster for its administration if 50% of the projects being launched are not going to be completed in 2027. I hold my position that in 2026, January, if you still move around counties launching new projects, you'll be lying to yourself. And the strategy of going to launch projects and then use that to create a political platform for you to campaign, it is going to be, its essence is exhausted. It will lack traction because the country will move to the question that Muturi is talking about. Instead of talking of new ones, can we even complete one? Can we even complete one? And this doesn't just apply to roads. This applies to the giant projects we're talking about. So I think while we can look at Muturi's statement as, of course, trying to irritate William Ruto, but in real sense, when the crystal ball there, is Ruto projects launching spree is not going to be a point to convince the people. Muturi understands Mount Kenya insecurity that President Ruto is facing. And he knows that Ruto is afraid of sacking him. Probably Ruto might not show him the door, not anytime. And with that, he stays put. He looks very comfortable. Yes, he looks very comfortable. And in fact, I think I realized the other side, he said, at his age, if you want to sack him, bring it on. By the way, having served as a speaker for 10 years, sasa, hata ukiambiwa unakuwa sacked as a CS, it doesn't bother you. It doesn't move you. And the other issue is, if William Ruto is trying to use Kindiki to reconcile with Muturi, then the events of today clearly shows that Kindiki cannot be able to play that role. Why? The answer is very straight. By the time Muturi was demanding answers, when the son was abducted, Kithure Kindiki believed everything and never sided with Muturi, while he was in charge of the security docket. Number two, Kindiki is an appointee of the president. He cannot challenge the president. Muturi seemed to be holding his stand that explanations need to be done about these abductions. Kindiki is a yes sir. And not yes sir because he wishes, but that is what Rigathi used to. Rigathi used to confront the president, and so he was impeached. So Kindiki wants to do the opposite to retain his job just until 2027. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. Let's meet in the next. Thank you.